Today, I'm looking at Schindler's List from an interpersonal communication perspective. I'm not going to summarize the movie. Instead, I want to focus on how relationship functions and how communication theories help explain why a certain relationship becomes meaningful, while others completely break down. One theory that really stands out here is Knapp's relational development model. Normally, relationships move through stages like initiating, intensifying, and bonding. They usually build through conversations, trust, and emotional connection. But in this film, those stages don't look typical at all. Schindler's relationship with the Jewish workers don't begin with friendship or emotional warmth. They start as purely transactional, business-based, and distant. There's no deep disclosure happening at the beginning. What's interesting is how the relationship develops anyway. Instead of bonding through words, Schindler's commitment shows through actions. Over time, his behavior communicates care and responsibility more than any conversation could. It shows that relational development doesn't always depend on emotional intimacy. Sometimes consistency and protection speaks louder than words. Another helpful theory here is social exchange theory. This theory says people usually stay in relationship when the rewards outweigh the cost. At first, Schindler's involvement is clearly self-interested. He benefits financially and socially. The workers provide labor, and he gains profit and status. From a social exchange perspective, the relationship makes sense. But as the film continues, the situation changes. The cost to Schindler increase. He risks money, safety, and stability. And the reward? They become less material and more moral. At that point, his actions don't fit the typical cost-benefit logic anymore. This is where the theory becomes interesting. It shows that human relationships are not always driven by profit or personal gain. Sometimes value and ethics override the economic calculation. Power also play a huge factor in this film. The contrast between Schindler and Eamon Goeth highlights two completely different communication styles. Goeth uses power through fear and unpredictability. His communication is authoritarian and dehumanizing. There's no relational stability there, just control. People don't connect with him, they simply try to survive around him. Schindler, however, also holds power. The difference is in how he uses it. He negotiates, he persuades, he works within systems. His power becomes a tool for protection rather than destruction. This really shows that power itself isn't inherently negative. It's how power is communicated that determines whether relationships collapse or stabilize. Another interesting aspect is disclosure. In most interpersonal communication theory, self-disclosure builds intimacy and trust. But in this context, too much disclosure could be dangerous. Instead of open emotional conversations, communications often happen through silence, shared understanding, or action. Meaning is conveyed indirectly, and even without traditional intimacy, trust still forms. This challenges the idea that healthy relationships always require verbal openness. In high-risk environments, restraints can actually preserve connections. What stood out to me personally is how relationship in structured or hierarchical environments often functions this way. Sometimes respect and trust aren't built through emotional closeness, but through reliability and action. You learn who someone really is based on what they do when it matters. Overall, Schindler's List show that interpersonal communication theories still apply in extreme situations. but they operate differently. Relationships can deepen without emotional intimacy, and commitment can exist without verbal affirmation. And communication itself can become a moral choice. In the end, the film reminds us that relationships are not just built through words. They're built through responsibility and actions.